Hey yo, from the trenches to the top, from the Friday night lights to the future pro. If they ballin', we call it. We tapping in on the next wave, the hidden gems, the future goats. Coast to coast, state to state, if it's football, it's on the map. Let's get it!
We want to thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of The Map, where you can find your hosts, Mike Evans,
your boy on the Taylor,
as we continue to bring you hot takes in the world of sports, what's going on in your local businesses, and in your high schools. I want to introduce our guest on today. He's a guest that come from far out. You know, it was raining out here in Houston, but he still wanted to be here. You know, he's a man of God first.
right?
He's a husband second. He's a father third. He's also the head track coach for Willis High School. He's also the defensive back coach for Willis High School. And he's also the brand ambassador and the CEO of 3D Athletics. Y'all give it up for Darrell Williams. How's it going today, Darrell?
Man, good.
Man, thank you for coming on the show today, man.
Much love and gratitude. Glad
Oh,
y'all
man,
have
we
it.
truly appreciate it, though, bro.
Appreciate
No doubt. Man, like I was telling earlier, we was talking. I was like, Darrell, your name came to my mind. And what you doing? How you doing it? So I just want to give you that shine. That's what we do on the map.
you.
So, where does the idea of having a 7-on-7 come from? Where does that come from? What drove you? What motivated you for doing that?
I think at the time when we started 7-on-7, we saw it as, a need and then an opportunity, right? To fill a need. The guys that, pretty much I grew up with, we would go and do training, skill development, things of that nature, go out, work out, things like that. And so we got together, and when we started 3D, we wanted to build something to where we could appoint athletes that same opportunity.
Right.
But do it in a way that we felt like it would hone in their skills. It would give them a home, family-friendly type environment. They would learn morals, principles, values. We had things in place talking about discipline, effort, attitude, integrity, respect for the game. So all those core values and things like that. We just saw it as a way to, again, when we talk about 3D all around, complete whole. That's something that we felt like we could bring to 7-on-7. And I believe, when you look at the program, the people that have come through it and where they are today, on and off the field, that it was definitely successful.
Right. So I'm gonna just put it out there, be transparent. My son is a former 3D member, Caleb Jones.
Shout out.
Caleb Jones played receiver over at Spring and Darren. They really helped him a long way. So he's able to go to Chicago and, further his education, play 4 years in Chicago. So I saw the fruits of your labor as well. I used to do a little coaching with your help out there. You know what I'm saying? So we got some good alumni. We got Bishop Davenport out there doing this thing out there at South Alabama. So we're looking for him this year.
Yeah.
But I saw it firsthand. Also, we got somebody in the background back there. He don't want to talk today, but we're going to get him on there now. Got Miss Jean Davenport in here supporting myself and Jean, man. We just saw what you had in you, and you just needed that somebody to lean on here. But you already had the foundation. The foundation was there. So, man, I appreciate you, what you do, how you do, what you're doing. So, are you still active now, or are y'all still doing 7-on, or y'all got it going on so you can get you some guys and y'all can get it going on, get it back popping?
Right. So, again, like we, before we kind of got on camera, we kind of talked about loaded questions. That's another one of those loaded questions that since we have not done 7-on-7 for say, in the last 2 years, I've been focusing on the head boys track, being a head boys track coach at Willis High School.
Right.
So in doing that kind of conflicts with the 7-on-7 season.
Right.
So over the last 2 years, people would ask what's up with 3D? Like, are you doing 3D? This, that, and the other. And at first, I didn't know how to answer that question. And then it was obvious. It's like, man, you looking at it, right? Like, it's a lifestyle.
Right.
So it's like, it's every day. Like, what we doing right now this is 3-dimensional what we doing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You talking about mind, body, spirit, right? And we just did it through athletics. So all that to loaded answer to answer that loaded question, we still do stuff with 3D when it comes to skill development. I've made myself more, available when it comes to things of that nature. And we not hard to find, you know.
I saw you getting it in a couple weeks ago, man. I just, you know, the technique Darrell has, he's the attention to detail. He's a defensive guy because you played at Westfield and
yes,
also went to Tulsa.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so we got a ball. Yeah. We got a guy that knows it and he coaches it. You know what I'm saying? So very hands-on, very detailed. I also want to give some love and shout out to Coach Brad Gilbert.
Man.
Brad doing his thing, you know what I'm saying? Him and Trey over there at Westfield, getting them boys right on the line. So, you know, it was a family, man. It was a family, man. I remember so much fun we used to have going on those trips, man. And I remember we went to San Antonio, man, and we came down and had all that food on the table and family just eating and partying. Yeah. It was just great, you know, and I just saw it. You know, the mindset that where it was going, like what's the little guy that was playing at Westfield, hurt his leg? He's the linebacker.
Lil Braylon,
man, solid dude, solid little kid, man. And just to see these kids grow up, you know, just to see them do their thing and through the foundation of 3D, man, that was just so great, man. So, you know. Yeah, that's what we did, man. It was a family, man. It was a family.
Hey, man, shout out to you for starting that, bro. Like, that's huge. You know, a lot of kids don't realize those type of avenues and those gateways, they need that.
Right.
You know, they need that discipline in their life. Right. You know, Arden and I was sitting there talking on the phone yesterday, man, which we chopped up every day. But I spoke to him about coming up through the Boys and Girls Club.
Right, okay.
You know, how that foundation and, you know, being around that environment, how that not only saved a lot of kids' life, but it steered them in that direction where they needed guidance.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? And what you're doing with the community was starting 7-on-7, you know, mind, body, spirit, you know, 3-dimensional, you know, you trying to create discipline. I heard that, and that was key in your introduction when you were speaking on, you know, your 7-on-7. That's huge because, you know, a lot of times, man, you know, it's easy to get caught up and it's hard to get out of it.
Facts.
You know, so if you can keep these youth and keep these kids occupied, you know, in something positive, you know, we'll be surprised. You know, we looking at future doctors, forget athletes, future lawyers, you know, business owners, entrepreneurs. You know, we know athletes going to come a dime a dozen.
Yes,
you know, but if we can steer them in a direction to where we can help set them on a path, on a straight path, you know, not one that's crooked and, you know, they hitting their heads and bumping it along the way, you know, but try to set them on something that's positive. Man, your job is done here. Your calling is here. But I want to tie into, man, all of those things that we named, you know, it's a lot of accolades. How do you balance it all?
Priorities, right? So starting at the top with faith, that's got to be one, right? So even an example, like transparently, when my mood off, when I'm just like my spirit just feel off, I go back to my checklist. Like, am I prioritizing what I need to prioritize?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Am I spending my time in my devotion with God? Am I spending time, you know what I'm saying, loving my wife? Am I spending time making sure she needs what she needs to support the kids and then loving and being an example for them? So I think priorities in order and then not getting those mixed up, right?
Right.
I haven't, you know, just in the question you just asked me, I haven't mentioned anything work related yet, right? So when I notice, and again, this is what worked for me, right? Every household, every person different.
Yes, of course.
But what's worked for me, and when I know I've been able to be on and at my best, is when I prioritize my faith, my time with God, doing what I need to do as a husband for my wife, and then being a father.
So, couple of weeks we had our first episode. We had Rodney on here, Rodney Hammond.
Yeah.
And I remember we were talking. I remember you used to say you had the medal of when you was into Ham's camp back in the
every
day.
time.
How does that feel to go full circle? That you were a young kid out there, and I remember. I remember because I would go out there and I would be a coach as well with the Ham's camp. How does it feel to be able to go full circle with that? Now you were there. Now you mentoring, you helping little kids or kids do what they need to do.
Great question. The biggest thing is like when we were younger coming up, like me, my boys, my brother, you know, like we had different places where we could go. Like we would go. We had a place where we could get our ministry, right? We had a place where, you know, we getting our mom and them cooking, so nutrition and everything at home. We had our place to go to get the training and the skill development. We had, you know, our peers, obviously. Well, what 3D did was we brought all of that and brought it together.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? In one. And so to go from the things that the HAMP camps, right, that gave me the opportunity to go to a different part of town than what I was going to school in, competing with a different group of young men, young boys who they want it just like I do. They want to win the races, they want to win the reps, and me being biased to sports, but I believe it's a fact, what that does for a young man in the future, as far as that competition at that level, it has meaningful, rewards way beyond the football field.
Hey, he got some great alumni. Vince Young was at one of his camps when he was first there. Some great alumni, great alumni there. So man, I just just to see it come to full circle, come to fruition. That's gotta feel good, man. It gotta feel good.
Just paying it forward. Just paying it forward, because again, there's guys that have come through our camp that now they've branched off, started doing what they do as far as the training goes. Start doing what they do as far as 7-on-7, and so it's just paying it forward. Each one reach one, and we just keep this thing going.
That's solid there, man. But what it sounds like was a great foundation was laid. Because if the foundation is not laid there, man, you can't build nothing on it. Everything else will tumble. The foundation was laid to where solid rocks. Everything else was built up from that, man. And what you're doing, like you said, you're paying it forward to the community and giving back to those young men. Because someone planted that seed in you.
Absolutely.
I want to touch bases back with your faith, man. Everything I hear is God, faith. Many are called, few are chosen.
Facts.
You know that?
Facts.
And I'm listening to how you allow God to lead you and steer you in a direction. You said, when I'm disconnecting from whether it's my spouse or whatever, I feel like things ain't right, I gotta go back and I gotta check my faith.
Right.
What drives that hunger to where you constantly seek him on a daily basis? Because as men, we just having a talk. We can get discouraged when things doesn't go our way. We can say, man, is God really for me? Is he really hearing me? But I hear you say, even regardless through the good, through the bad, you still gonna seek thee first.
Oh yeah.
But what drives that in you, man? Like where that come from? Was it mom, grandmother, dad? Like where does that hunger come from to where you're seeking his guidance on a daily basis?
I think the foundation obviously is important. Being raised, mom, grandmother, my family, they just did a good job of having us around the church, being in the church. And so that's a start, right? But then beyond the foundation, what you put on top of it, that shows and holds true as well. So beyond there, I think, honestly, my failures, right? That's what, failing, but still passing. And it's like, all right, this don't make sense. Like, I know I failed this, but I still passed, right? And that's all God. Like, I have no other answer for that. And so many times seeing that with even the way that this was birthed, right? With the way that 3D Houston Athletics was, how it came to light, it was all God. That was stuff that he gave me a vision. I'm sitting in class after, tearing everything in my knee, thinking my playing career is over in college. And he planted that seed as far as a vision. So everything for me now is as best as I can about obedience. You know what I'm saying? And then when I get off that path, like I say, I gotta self-assess the same way we get on the kids and hold them accountable. If you're a minute late, go hop in them bleachers. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the same thing. And even going back to that, even as coaches, we did that. If I came late, guess what? My butt gonna be in them bleachers. You know what I'm saying? And that went for everybody. So I would say definitely, the foundation from family, and then beyond that foundation, just my failures that end up successes.
So I know you're in the track season right now, so you got some kids rolling. Hopefully we can get them right. But man, y'all done had some studs coming through with us, man. My man out there, my man, Mr. Miller out there, Coach Miller.
That's
my guy.
Crazy how
that is, man. I remember talking to Miller, because Caleb was over there. We was talking like, man, I would sure love to get there on my over here, And then when it happened, I was like, hey, look at God, man. Look at God. Man, y'all had some studs out there. Lagway. I got this young boy coming out, this man Batman. Mr. Bishop. I see this guy on all kinds of social media. I said, man, come on, man. Hey, I like that.
What's crazy was I was watching at the same time, and he was like, man, you see this kid right here with the Batman? I'm like, I see this dude with the cape and everything.
So what's the expectations for football? What y'all got coming on in the fall?
I think business as usual. To be honest, I think business as usual. Like you say, Willis it's a great place, and there's a lot of homegrown talent right there in that town. It's growing over there, so people are moving in, and it's just a great place right now. Talent is gonna be places, but it's on the people that surround that talent to be able to cultivate it, and I think that's what's taking place and happening right now in Willis. And I'm glad, for the blessing to be a part of it. Because again, I had no idea that that's where I would be.
Right.
So another God thing, right? I'm seeking, knocking, and then boom, he opened the door, and then it happened how it happened. But also from before planting seeds, right? Talk about relationships. Right. From spring high, and then how I just connect and come back. So like they say, it's not always what you know, but who you know.
So like I say, Darrell is like, man, for a young guy, he's, he called me uncle or whatever, but, and I'll be proud to call him nephew. I am proud to call him nephew. And tell me a little about when you went to Oklahoma. I saw you was doing your working out, and you had these ladies on the bridges, and I'm like, look at nephew, man. I'm talking about, in the whole nutritional deal. I know you do a lot of that, with your kids and as well. Right. I need to get back to doing some things.
We here. It's good.
But what's that from? Where's that? What planted that seed in that?
So that that time, for one, that time that we spent in Oklahoma was a beautiful time. Man, it was just a time where we could get away as a family, and we were really able to do a little bit of everything. I mean, I was director of sports performance at a private school in, the northern part of Tulsa, which is kind of similar to probably our north side, right? The Homestead area. Right. So we were able to do that. My whole family there, day in, day out, with the kids, working them out. My wife, she had the girls, I had the boys. Right. That was cool. I got to go to my alma mater, do things mentorship-wise, there, doing things on that end as far as player development and just chopping it up with the guys on off the field time, checking their mental and things of that nature. Different churches, speaking engagements. So back then it was almost like Abraham not knowing, right? Seriously, like I really don't, what I'm saying? Like I feel this nudge to go, to try, to see, but in hindsight, I know absolutely that was to show just how wide of a scope this thing can really get to. Right. And that's something, shout out Uncle Gene, he used to say all the time, like, nephew, I don't think you realize how big this thing can really get. Right. And so, and that happens when you right in it, right? You know what I'm saying? And people from the outside in can see, they like, man, this thing can, you can really do something with this. I think going to Oklahoma, it really showed me that on a different level. Right. I believe it showed my wife the value she adds to the part of 3D when it comes to the health and wellness side of things, right? The nutrition, things to help mothers and things of that nature. So something that started as working out defensive backs, right? That grew and blossomed, and I think at that time when we went to Oklahoma, God needed me to go and see, like, hey man, these are all of the different avenues that you could possibly do. And it might not be overnight. Right? But at some points of time, it's gonna get to that time where this is gonna be able to become manifest.
So it sounds like you did your graduates.
Man, that was a beautiful time, man. That was a beautiful time.
I know, man. That's love, man. That's love, man. Yeah. So you what you think about your boy Lagway? He gonna do his thing up there in Florida? Man,
Lagway's special. Yeah. Lagway's special. It's funny, like when you see him do the interviews and everything. Like when I first got I was torn in Willis, and he was one of the first people I met. They had just finished working out. My DC was taking me around, introducing me to some of the kids, and we walked in the locker room, and Lag, he stood up, walked over. Coaches introduced me to another kid. Hey, how you doing? Derek Lagway, boom, boom, boom. As if I didn't, know exactly who he was. Exactly. And so that was my first impression of him. Right. And then being around that kid, man, that kid is special, man.
Right. Gene and I conversated with his dad quite a bit.
Good people.
Yeah, his dad, real good people, man. So when you got good people, you see them, man, you root for them, man, you wish nothing but the best for them, man.
Once again, it's the foundation that's set.
Right.
You
They
know,
go back
and
to
that
that.
help them blossom into what they want to, you know, to what they are now.
Right.
It always starts with that foundation.
So Landway, if you out there looking, man, we looking for big things from you, know.
There it
Looking for
is.
Big things, man.
There it is.
Just not against my Tigers.
Yeah,
Not against my Tigers.
he LSU to the free.
But now, I truly want to talk to you as well, man. Something that's dear to you right now, what you have going on right now, that is your track season.
Yeah.
You know, I know y'all just had a big meet yesterday, correct?
Yes, sir. District
Okay.
championship.
All right, and how did your boys do out there?
So the boys did well, man. We're young on the boys side of track, but that's I don't see it as an issue. I see it as an opportunity, right, for us to be really good for quite some time on the years to come. Our veteran of the group is somebody who he's had a #1 U.S. time, I think twice this season in the 800 and in the 400 on 2 different occasions. So he fared very well. He was healthy, ran strong. He PR'd in the 400, ran a solid time in the 800. So he will be the lone runner to advance. And then we also have 2 boy pole vaulters.
Oh, wow. Powerful.
So
great.
yeah,
That's great.
yeah.
Yeah, that's still huge. I'm telling you, man. I was out there at a track meet and I was watching this kid run.
Yeah.
I'm watching him sprint the 400 like it's the 100.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man,
Yeah.
I'm waiting for him to gas out. Just sitting there waiting for myself. He come around there.
But say, listen, man. Hey,
he done.
Yeah.
Texas speed is different speed.
It's different,
You got
yes,
some
sir.
boys in
Of course.
Duncanville,
Of course.
Summer Creek.
Yeah.
I was watching. I saw that with my own eyes last year. We went out there to state. It's crazy, man. So hey, you better eat your Wheaties when you get
Yeah,
up
most
there.
definitely. For
Hey,
sure.
but not just on the boys' side. Don't forget, we still got our girls' side. We still represent our girl Khalil. You know, she's
Okay, yeah.
advanced as well. You know, she's doing big things, and we're expecting big things from her as well.
Right. So, man, it's been a pleasure, man, to have you on today, man. I love you, brother. I love you. You know what I'm saying? I love you, man. I love what you're doing. I love your beautiful wife, your kids, my nieces and nephews, man.
I'm gonna bring them to you too.
Yeah, man. I was looking forward to seeing them today, but hey, man, it's a pleasure. We're gonna do this again,
Most
man.
definitely.
Much success,
Yes.
and we appreciate you, brother.
Man, appreciate you, huh? Yes, sir.
Hey, man,
Yes,
that
sir.
fade, brother.
Yeah.
Hey, I could talk about that fade all day now.
Oh, yeah.
I can
Most
talk about it all
most
day. I can
definitely,
tell you that right now.
Yeah.
I definitely appreciate you coming on the show, man.
Sure.
Dropping jewels, you know, for the youth because they need it.
Oh yeah.
You know, they definitely need it. Not like they're not lost, man.
Right.
They just misguided right
There
now.
it is. There it is.
That's all they are.
There it
You know,
is.
it's gonna take us to continue pouring out, reaching for them, and eventually, man, they'll cling on.
There it is.
That's
You
right.
know, but it has to start somewhere, and it's
Right.
gonna start with laying down that foundation. You know, and that's what we're representing. You know, that's why we're into the communities. You know,
Right.
going into these high schools, trying to reach
Yeah.
these babies, man, because it's
Yeah.
not too late, bro.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we gonna be in the streets this year.
Yes.
This year.
Most definitely.
You'll see us at the local high schools. But like I said, once again, great Darrell Williams. Thank you once again.
Thank you.